Namaste, everyone. We are going to use a strap, potentially 2 blocks, and potentially a bolster. Since this is a yin flow, sometimes we like to hang out in poses without any props. Sometimes we need props as a tool or as support, and just have all of those items available just in case. I am returning from a retreat out in Joshua Tree. I'm still trying to acclimate back to this time zone and to my normal schedule. So I'm a little tired. We're probably going to be more yin versus a flow. I could use some deep stretching after all the hiking that we did. A little piece of inspiration for you before we begin. When we landed in Palm Springs, we knew that 2 of the ladies were going to be flying into another part of California. So there were 4 of us coming into Palm Springs, and I had rented a car, and our flights were kind of staggered. And so we were just going to wait around for each other and all head to the retreat house in one car. And when we got there, the 3 of us all arrived on time, and then one person was delayed due to weather. So we actually had a little time to kill. And we discovered something called an aerial tram in Palm Springs. So if you've ever been to Palm Springs, or if you're planning on going, I highly suggest taking this aerial tram. It was something that they actually built in the 1930s, which is kind of mind-blowing when you're actually doing it, because it's run by cables. And I remember them saying the cables came from Switzerland. And you basically get a group of people, probably 30 to 40 people. They all get in this round tram, and the tram actually rotates 360 degrees, but at a very slow pace. So if you tend to get motion sickness, I don't think it would bother you, because it is at a snail-like pace that it rotates. But you literally go up 8,000 feet, and you're moving up the side of this mountain. And when you get to the very top, it is snow-capped. So here it is, late April. We arrived, into the desert, but then went up 8,000 feet to the top of a mountain where there was snow. There were hiking trails. We didn't do the hiking because there was a restaurant, and we were famished after traveling cross country. So we all ate a meal, and by the time the meal ended, our 4th person had arrived at the airport. So we ended up going back down the tram and picking her up, and then heading out to Joshua Tree. But I think the other day I mentioned, everywhere we went, even in the area of Joshua Tree, there's 3 main places you can stay: 29 Palms, Yucca Valley, and Joshua Tree. And I had done a lot of research to try to figure out what would be the best location. And we found this place called, well, I don't know the name of the place, but it was a home that was available in Yucca Valley. And it was about 6 miles from the Joshua Tree entrance. It ended up being perfect because there were rolling hills. Our house was pretty much almost all glass. So anywhere you went in the house, you had beautiful views. And being on the top of the hill out in the desert, and being in April, it was in bloom. There were wildflowers, the cacti were blooming. It was gorgeous. And off the back deck, you could see the snow-capped mountains that were in Palm Springs, where we had just come from. Basically, it was stunning. And we're going to be doing a practice today that's going to bring a little bit of this inspiration in. We're going to start with seated mountain pose, and we're going to end up in a pose where we're doing the cactus arms. And we're just going to open up some of our lower body. So let's go ahead and meet on the mat. We'll start sitting and breathing. So let's start sitting on a bolster. And we're going to take the arms up overhead. The palms are going to come together, the elbows are going to bend, and this creates or mimics the peak of a mountaintop. And we'll close our eyes for this pranayama. Take a deep breath in through the nose, and then draw the navel in and up towards the heart. And then exhale, release. We'll retain the breath briefly at the top. Another deep inhalation. Hold. And breathe out. Another, take a deep breath in. Hold, trapping the energy at the heart, gazing into the mind's eye. And then exhale, release. Inhale, lift the arms up overhead. Exhale, spray the arms around the body. And we're going to come to corpse pose next. So slide the bolster away, have your strap in hand's reach. Laying on your back, feet spread out, hands resting on the abdomen. Close your eyes. And at first, just try to melt down into the floor. Relaxing the muscles and allowing the bones to feel heavy. And then just take a mental note of the places that are planted down. Noticing the difference in the areas that feel as though they're hovering. For instance, the ankles, the knees, the low back, the neck are hovering and not necessarily planted down. You could even look at these points as being like peaks and valleys. Even representing the peaks and the valleys that we experience in life. A few more deep diaphragmatic breaths. Filling up the lungs as you breathe in and emptying them as you breathe out. So something that fills my cup and uplifts my spirit is to create these retreats and to get outdoors and to explore the outdoors with others. And I want you to take a moment and consider what fills your cup, what uplifts your spirit. And whether or not you've been allowing yourself to do such things. On your next in-breath, let's go ahead and close the feet more together. And then as you exhale, pick up your right leg and catch your right knee with your hands. And as you exhale, let your hip open. And you're holding a variation of Padangusthasana B. next inhale, lift the right knee back up. Swap hands to hold the knee. Reach out with your right arm and then send that knee across your body as you roll to your left hip into a spinal twist. Now focus on grounding the right shoulder. And once you do that, see if it's in your range of potential to turn your head over towards the right arm. Breathing down into the belly and high up into the heart. On your next out breath, unroll from the twist. Take a hold of your strap, wrap it around the ball of the right foot, and then extend it up in the air. Take both hands up to hold the strap. Your left leg is welcome to stay relaxed today since we're doing the yin approach. But you can tug a little on the strap to add in the natural flexion in the foot. If you want to deepen the stretch in the hamstrings. So just holding and breathing in Padangusthasana A. Remembering when we do the yin, we don't necessarily have to go to 100% of our edge. It's actually more acceptable to hang out at, like 80, 85, 90% of our flexibility. Take both ends of the strap now in your right hand. Use your left hand to hold down your left hip and open the leg to the right. The second variation of Padangusthasana B. Opening up the inseam of this leg. You may even feel it through the inner knee or through the adductor muscles in the inner thigh. I like to release my right upper arm. So it gives me a little bit more of a prop. This may or may not be a place in your body where you're tightly woven, but we still want to do that inner investigative work. Paying attention to see where we're holding more attention in the body. So that when we do a home practice, we can work on that area a little more or a little longer than we would in a formal class. Now on your next in-breath, let's go ahead and fly the right foot back up. Exhale, let's bend the knee, remove the strap, and hug it in. Lengthening the right side of the low back and compressing the right side of the belly. Now let's release the right leg and lay out with the palms open alongside us. Long enough to feel the difference now between the right and the left hip, the right and the left leg, the right and the left foot. And now let's take it to the left side. So pick up your left leg, grab a hold of your knee with your left hand, keep that knee bent and turn it open. The first variation of Padangusthasana B today. Inhale, left knee lifts, grab it with your right hand, roll into your spinal twist, reaching out through the left arm and maybe turning your head to look that way. Breathing down into the belly and high up into the heart. Let's gently unwind from the twist. Find the strap, wrap it around your left foot, and send it skyward. Finding the edge of flexibility or staying shy of that point. Padangusthasana A. Let's take both ends of the strap into the left hand. Use the right hand to hold down the right hip. Send the leg off to the left. Let the foot hover above the ground. Let your pelvis stay neutral and continue to breathe. Inhale, build the leg back up. Exhale, bend the knee, remove the strap, and hug it in. Again, just pondering, noticing, reflecting between the two sides of the body that we've worked on so far. Now let's release the left foot and let's slide the right foot back beside it. Roll over to one side of your body and we're going to come up to stand. And as we come up to stand at the top of the mat, we're going to go ahead and hinge down into our dangling pose. So if you hinge from your hips and softly bend your knees, we're going to allow the arms to release like a rag doll at first. But then we're going to wrap up the arms. So cross your arms with your right arm at the bottom. Track your upper arms beside your ears, your forearms at the top of the head, so your chest remains open. You might notice some vibration awakening the back of the legs, because energy is vibration, and we're opening up a major energetic channel here called the urinary bladder meridian. We're also opening up the governor vessel meridian that travels down the back and over the top of the head. Loosen up your neck. Emphasize your out breaths. Let's bend the knees, drop the tailbone, stack your elbows onto your thighs. Hands can join together. This is a variation of bear pose, and it does become a little unbearable. So just try to be patient, try to stick with it. We won't be here forever. Notice it starts to burn the quads. You may start to notice your thigh bones may be radiating sensation. So now start to tip the head forward and your sits bone skyward. Release your arms back down into a rag doll. Crisscross the arms this time with your left arm at the bottom. Coming back into dangling pose. Longer, slower out breath. right, let's move on. Let's step the left foot way back and we'll drop the back knee, shin foot. Feel free to pad that knee with a blanket if need be. Push down through the right foot. Fly up with your arms on Asana. But as you exhale, you're going to sink the hips. Open your arms to cactus arms. Hang your head back and breathe. Now let's lower the hands and bring the right hand to the inside of the right foot, heel toe the right foot to the edge of your mat. And from here, you can stack onto fist, wrist, or forearms. So I'm going to bring my blocks in today so that I can drop to forearms. Again, you don't necessarily have to use props if you can sink all the way down. I'm going to give you a choice here as well. You can either stay on that big toe mound where the foot's flat and the knee stays up and closely knit to your body, or you're welcome to lift the big toe side of the foot, roll to the knife edge side of the foot, and that knee can wing away. So you can determine which is best for you today. Right, if you're down on blocks, you may want to send them away. Stack back onto your hands. Shift back onto the right foot. Push the hips back and then just slide your right foot and knee to table. Ground your hands, spread out the fingers. Curl the toes and lift up and back to downward facing dog. Creating this inversion to build strength in the bones, to receive a stretch in your body, and to replenish the skin of the face. Now on your next exhalation, we're going to come on down again to the knees. Untuck the toes, pour down onto your abdomen, and separate your feet here. Wiggle the hips. Excuse me. Stack onto your elbows. Place your hands to prayer and prop your head up. Now, you can also crawl the elbows more ahead of your shoulders if this is too much of a back bend for you. Now, for being propped in this back bend, we're going to slide the hands under the shoulders, glide the feet closer together, push up to table, and now go back to downward facing dog. Push into your palms, stretch long through the spine, and bow your head. Inhale, left foot's going to step forward and through. And you may need to come down to tabletop and then step the left foot forward, and that's okay. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. And then exhale, cactus arms, winging the arms open, opening up the gates of the heart. Right, hands will come down. We're going to bring the left hand to the inside of the left foot as we heel toe it over to the side. Wrist, fist, or forearms here. Just like we did on the previous side. Choosing, once you find your arm position, whether or not you want to wing the knee open and away from your shoulder. So it's either low flying dragon or low flying winged dragon. Continue to hold and breathe. Sorry, I had to step away, but I had zero allergies in the desert, even though it was in bloom. And all the other ladies were sneezing and sniffling the entire time, and I was perfectly fine. And I've been good ever since today. And now my allergies are starting to come back. All right, let's slowly start to build ourselves back up. The blocks can move out. We'll press into the hands to shift the hips back and slide the left knee back to join. You're going to take tadpole pose next with the thighs wide apart. Your right arm out in front and your left arm's going to thread underneath for shoelace. And you can either rest your right arm or you can loop it behind your back. So yogi's choice there. And then just allow yourself to sink and surrender to gravity. Let all your weight go. Let's release the right arm if it's looped behind the back. Let's unthread the left arm, and then we'll take it through with the right arm next. Once you come to shoelace arm, discern, do you want your left arm resting on the floor or wrapped behind your back? Let's release the left arm if it's behind you. And then transition out of tadpole and come off your feet and let them come out in front of you. Now, I'm going to grab the props so you can see different ways to do this. I'm basically separating my legs out like a V. And so if you're fairly tight here in your low back, hips, and hamstrings, you may want to just stack a bolster up underneath your head like this, so you're not forcing a deep stretch. You could also create Stonehenge in front of you to either rest in prayer hands or to release over like so. And if you're pretty flexible, you may want just a singular prop in between the legs to rest on. So find what will be appropriate for your body today, because the body does change. I might be able to go lower if I hadn't have done so much hiking over the last, 4 to 5 days. So always take that into account. This is what we call dragonfly yin. Dragonfly is very similar to butterflies in the fact that they represent and symbolize transformation. Maybe just be contemplative about what's going through a transformation for you. For instance, your home, if you're redesigning it or doing some upgrades. It's cool when we do that in our surroundings and in our environment because, in essence, we're also helping to clean things out internally. Maybe you're going through another type of metamorphosis, a new stage in life. So we've been trying to prepare our body for this pose at the end, with the strap and the Padangusthasana at the beginning. The hip openers and the dangling poses to open the hamstrings. Now, you don't have to do this next number or this next pose, but I was going to suggest, since we've been folding forward, if you wanted an inversion this way, you can basically roll back and catch your hips. Your legs can stay in midair, or the feet can drop down. You could also do this completely on your back with your legs splayed out to the sides. If you don't want the weight in your neck or upper back like plow. If you lift your hips, you want to keep your head stable. And then we'll draw the feet together. We'll roll it down one vertebra at a time. Now you have a choice for Shavasana. Maybe you want the bolster laid out under your thighs and knees in this form of corpse. You may want the sensation again occurring through your inner thighs and hips. And if that's the case, your feet can stack together on top of the bolster. And then once you figure it out, close your eyes. Use this time to quiet the mind. Take refuge in your body. Go into the hidden oasis within. Stack the feet on top of the bolster. And let's rock the knees gently side to side. And then cup a hold of your legs. Cradle them in with your arms. We did a singular version of this earlier. Now we're doing the double version. Let's roll over to one side of the body. And come up to take a seat. And we're going to end the practice the same way we started, with that seated mountain pose and breath work. So let's take the arms up overhead. Close your eyes. Deep breath in. A brief hold at the top. And then exhale, follow the out breath all the way down. Breathing in. Suctioning the belly in and up. Holding the prana at the heart. Exhale, release. Last one, deep breath in. Temporary hold. And exhale. Open the eyes. Inhale, lift the arms straight up. And then exhale, we'll end with namaste.